Alright guys, so you remember that video that I did where I told you not to go buy a webcam, to buy a capture card instead and just use a real camera as your webcam? But then everybody in the comments were like, capture cards have shot up in price too, they're really expensive now too, and they're price gouging on those too. Okay, well, you got a point there. They kind of did do that. But I found a $15 capture card based on a lot of other YouTuber recommendations, and I thought, well, how good can this thing be? Well, that's what you're seeing right now. I got this capture card off of eBay for about $15. So I'm running this into a USB 2.0 port on my computer, and this is how it looks. I think overall, this looks pretty good for what it is. I'm going to do a comparison test between some of my other capture cards to show what the video looks like in comparison. Now this thing does cap out at 30 frames 1080, but for $15 I don't think you can really beat this thing. Now I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh, I need 60 frames and I need 4K in my stream, and okay, if you're doing like a full screen stream of your cell phone camera, okay, maybe you need 4K, but if your window over a game stream is like this big, I really don't see why you would need 4K. And if you want 60 frames, that's really always comes down to a personal preference. I think that as far as video goes, 60 frames just looks like a soap opera and looks cheap, but that's just my opinion. Hey, I'm not going to tell you how to do your stream, but anyway, I'm capturing this at 24 frames right now, and I think it looks pretty good. I'm going to do a couple comparison tests between this and the other capture cards that I have, and we're going to see basically if this thing is really an overwhelming steal at $15 or if this is a giant ripoff. I think I got a pretty good deal here. I also just wanted to add real quick that the audio is being carried through the camera through this capture card as well and being captured that way for anybody who was interested. This is a Boya LM20 mic going into my Lumix G7, and this is what you hear is what you get. So this is what that sounds like. Okay, so for comparison, here's what everything is going to look like being captured on the Blackmagic DECKLINK mini recorder. This capture card runs about $125 new. I was fortunate enough to pick this one up used on eBay for about 60 bucks, but as far as comparison, as far as sound, video, everything being compared from the El Cheapo capture card versus a more name brand capture card, this is what the video is going to look like. And now for our final test, this is the AGPTEK capture card. This is the same camera with the same frame rate, same mic, same everything. This is basically what this is going to look like with the AGPTEK capture card. This is the capture card that I used in my other video where I recommended using a capture card and a real camera in place of a webcam. So this is the capture card that I used back then. Again, this is a test of the AGPTEK capture card to see how it stacks up against the El Cheapo capture card and how that stacks up against the Blackmagic mini recorder capture card. Just for the sake of completion, for an absolute full comparison, this is what the quality of this camera looks like when you're not going through a capture card, when you're recording directly to an SD card, and I think it's going to look a lot better than going through a capture card. But in the scenario of where you're doing a live stream, unfortunately you can't do it this way. So I think overall it's a very practical use to pick up one of these mini HDMI capture cards to use as a dedicated camera capture. Now it may not be as versatile or as good as an Elgato Camlink, but it's also about 1/20th of the cost, as you can see here. I think that if you're a video production enthusiast, or even a professional for that matter, it's a no-brainer to pick one of these up and have them on hand. It's 15 bucks, you throw it in your toolkit, and you may very well run into a position where you need this, and it's good to have this kind of thing on hand. And I think as far as a real-world application goes, if you're going to do something like a church live stream or a concert or a school play or something like that that you're going to live stream, and you need a multi-cam setup and you need to do it on a very tight budget, these capture cards and a handful of camcorders should be adequate for you to be able to get this kind of production done on a really tight budget. Now, I do want to point out that yes, this HDMI capture card is small. It is just obtrusive enough that I had to dig out a short USB extension cable to make it mesh well with everything in my PC. This USB extension cable does not come with this HDMI capture card. Now, personally, I almost never play video games, and I can't think of a time when I would ever stream a video game. I don't know that this would be the best capture card for that. Here I'm recording some footage out of my Microsoft Surface Pro 3, which is admittedly not the best machine for gaming. As you can see, this card does capture the stream, it does get the job done. I would have no problem using this card to capture computer footage for, say, like a coding tutorial or something like that. But as far as gaming goes, I think most people are going to want a smoother stream than this. Now again, if you're on a budget and you can't afford anything else, a 30 FPS stream is better than no stream at all. But that's just my opinion. I gave this capture card a test in both Skype and Zoom as a substitute webcam, and it worked out perfectly in both applications for both video and audio. Alright, that's it for this review. I'm going to leave a link in the description below telling you where I got this. Unfortunately, when last I checked, these have sold out, but hopefully they'll get some more stock in. I'm going to leave the link to the purchase that I made, and cross your fingers if you're out looking for one of these. Hit up eBay, do a search for HDMI capture card. There's no brand to this, it's just a generic USB capture card, so it is what it is. Hopefully you can find one at this price if you're looking for one. If you like this video, be sure to check out one of my other videos. Hit that subscribe button, leave a like, share, comment. It really helps the channel grow. That's it for now. I'll see you next time.